Week 4 was an interesting one for fantasy football. First of all, let me say I went 0-3 this week. I lost the game in every single one of my leagues. To be fair, I scored over 90 points in all 3 leagues. My opponent scored over 100 in all 3 leagues. One of them scored over 150. So I was kind of fucked either way with that one. But anyways, let's look at some of the things that happened. Mike Williams, who I deemed sleeper pick of the year, he failed to find the end zone. But he caught 4 passes for 115 yards. Every single game this season, he has either had 100 yards or found the end zone. Except for one of them. But 3 out of 4 games, he's been doing pretty well. Like I said, he makes a great compliment to Vincent Jackson, and he is a decent matchup-based starter. Look for him when he's going up against some of the weaker pass defenses. And then you go to the Falcons, who I added this week in 2 of my leagues, dropping the Jets, who lost to Revis. The Jets only had 1 point, and honestly, their value was hurt by their offense more than the loss of Revis. Revis definitely affects them. There's no other corner in the league who plays like him. Wilson and Cromartie cannot shut receivers down like he does. But honestly, the offense drags them down even more because they are inconsistent. They'll turn the ball over, and that forces the Jets to walk with short fields, and you're just going to see opponents rack up points against them. So the Jets only had 1 point. The Falcons only had 4. The Panthers, they came and played pretty well against them. The Falcons are still the better defense in my opinion. Especially just because, like I said, the Jets' offense is just going to drag them all down. And, the Jets' defense faces Arian next week. And even if they do somehow manage to slow Arian down, they'll have to put 9 people in the box to do that. And then, Matt Schaub's just going to throw it in the air to Andre Johnson. It's that simple. Just don't play the Jets' defense, okay? I almost won one of my fantasy leagues just because they had the Jets defense. I lost by like 10 points in that one. And the Falcons next week, they face RG3, who has been sensational so far this year. But honestly, he is still a rookie. Which defense do you think is going to cause more turnovers this week? Gotta go with Atlanta. And Brandon Lafell, he started the season off well enough, but ever since I started recommending him, he's done nothing. I would tell you to drop him, but as soon as I do that, he'll start playing well again. He's still the starting receiver for the Panthers, and he's got the talent, but he's got some good defensive matchups on the horizon, so I wouldn't just throw him out there. Not if you have other options. And Dez Bryant, he's been playing okay this season, and his numbers definitely haven't shown some improvement and should only continue to improve this year. I just feel the need to point out the fact that this week especially, you see him, he's out of sync with the QB, he's dropping easy passes. It's just, he's a physical specimen with plenty of talent, and you really can't drop him just because of what he's capable of doing. You can only hang on to him and hope he plays better after the bye week. But still, if you have other people better, don't be scared to play them. And smart moves for the week. Larry Fitzgerald, he had a breakout performance last week, and that continued this week. Jamal Charles, he's had 2 big games in a row as well. Marquise Colston, wide receiver for the Saints, and Chris Johnson, halfback for the Titans, they finally had their breakout days. So good job for anybody who picked up these guys and had the patience to keep them in the lineups. I finally pulled Marquise Colston out of my starting lineup, and that's when he gets 20 points. Moving on, I just want to point out the fact that I did not say not to start Alfred Morris. He had over 100 yards. He got a touchdown, about 16 points this week. I just said to start him with caution and beware Shanahanigans, because they did pick up Ryan Grant, and Shanahan's never been known for staying consistent with his halfbacks. The running game has been seeing a lot of different faces over these past few years. He's given fantasy owners some headaches. Right now, though, it looks like if anyone's going to finish the season as a starting halfback, it might be Alfred Morris, just because they have too many other people injured right now. Ryan Grant has yet to really learn the offense. I don't know if they're actually going to activate him. So for now, it is safe to start Alfred Morris. Just try not to rely on him as your main guy, because it is Shanahan. Just be careful. It's Shanahan. Roddy White had a huge day while Julio Jones basically laid a goose egg. Both of them are great options, and it's just the defense. I think they just put more coverage on Julio than they did on Roddy, and Matt Ryan really exploited that in this game. Julio is still a great player, though. Don't be afraid to start him. And Pitta, he had a goose egg. I don't think his value is diminished just because he had one bad day, but it does point out one of the deficiencies of playing him. Still one of Joe Flacco's favorite targets, and still on the season as a whole leads the team in targets. But there are plenty of options on that Ravens offense that Joe can go to. But still, he is a big target, could get a few red zone looks. He's a good backup, depending on injuries and bye week stuff like that, because players are starting to get into the bye weeks now, so you have to consider that. And really on the rise, there's not too much, but I admit Steven Jackson, he hasn't had a breakout day yet, but I do feel the need to mention that it is Steven Jackson. He's been nursing an injury, and he's playing behind a shitty O-line. But he's slowly starting to look like he's getting back to form. Maybe in a few weeks he'll finally break 100 yards, might finally get to the end zone. He's going to be a huge part of that offense this year. I personally have him on one of my teams. I have no plans to drop him because he is Steven Jackson. Unless they put him on injured reserve, I'm gonna keep him on. I'm gonna keep him on my roster. He's staying on the bench for now, but it's kind of like Larry Fitzgerald and Marquise Colston. You've seen what they can do when they're playing well. They're having their breakout games now. And also Antonio Gates, he's starting to look healthier again. He had his best game of the season last week. Although that's not really saying much because he's had a crappy season so far. But still, he's starting to look like he's getting better, getting healthy again. And I already mentioned that the Jets have looked horrible and they've got some tough matchups ahead. I said last week not to drop them unless you had something better, but right now there are just too many other teams that look better. So, yeah, there it is. Tune in on Friday and Saturday. I will upload videos predicting who will win the Week 5 games. Tune in Sunday morning for Week 5 predictions with Fantasy Football. I'm Nathan Lyle. This has been The Fan Perspective.